Now to a new dating app nightmare. We hear these stories all the time of people posing as someone else online.
Some scammers are taking this to the next level now by pretending to be law enforcement officers. Even worse, News 5's Emily Hamilton found out how some of these imposters are making a profit.
That's from Columbus. Oh, wait a minute, it might be a scammer. Hold on.
Detective John Morgan has been fielding all kinds of incoming calls for the last 2 months because someone is using his name for internet blackmail.
The internet has anonymity, so you can be someone else. You don't have to be yourself. And you can have this alter ego.
This scam starts out seemingly innocent enough on dating apps like Tinder and Bumble, but the person on the other side of the screen isn't looking for romance, but instead ransom.
You can just type in whatever you want, blonde, blue-eyed blonde-haired girl, and you go to images and it shows all of these photos.
With a quick Google image search and a few swipes right, these impersonators create fake profiles and make their next move. And after just a few messages back and forth on the app, the scammer then asks to take things offline with a phone call or a text message because it's more intimate. And Detective Morgan says that's where the blackmail begins, typically with photos.
Some of them appropriate and then probably a lot of them inappropriate. After the inappropriate pictures are sent, then all of a sudden the next phone call is from either myself, allegedly somebody impersonating me.
Yeah, you heard that right. Those scammers pose as attractive women or even teenage girls on dating apps and then fake a second identity pretending to be Detective Morgan working undercover, blackmailing the other person for cash.
The voice is very commanding and it's almost intimidating.
Detective Morgan has received more than half a dozen calls from panicked people who were told they needed to pay up.
So they called me back. And when I answered, they said, wait a minute, you don't sound like the guy that I just talked to. And I immediately said, oh, you've been scammed.
Dating app users forking over the cash without hesitation to spare their record from charges of solicitation or possession of child pornography.
People would say, oh, this is legitimate.
They can look you up.
They can look me up and say, oh, this is legitimate.
But Detective Morgan says the online scare tactic is far from legitimate.
It's pretty aggravating because you work really hard to build up a really good reputation. We're not asking for money. We're not saying, hey, if you don't send this, then we're going to investigate you.
And he says if you are going to pursue a relationship online, always meet in a safe public place first and keep the private matters, well, private.
Let's meet for coffee. Let's not start throwing around inappropriate pictures.
Emily Hamilton, News 5.